Hey guys, in today's video, I play a 15-minute game on the Internet Chess Club. I discuss some of the strategic points during the opening and the middle game, and this game features a couple nice attacking themes. So I hope that you enjoy that and learn from that. And after the game, I analyze three of the positions in a little more detail. So like this video and comment if you enjoy it, and consider subscribing if you are not already a subscriber. Okay, on to the game. Hey guys, Brian Castro here with Better Chess Training, and in today's video I'm playing a 15-minute standard game, and I'm going to focus on trying to describe the reasoning behind my moves. And we're starting out here in a French Rubinstein. So far, so good. So these book moves we can play fairly quickly as long as he stays in book, which he is. And the idea behind this opening is to get this c5 break in, which will allow me, hopefully, to which will allow me to develop fairly easily. Okay, so here already we have some interesting choices. This is not usually what people play because they usually don't want to give up the two bishops so easily. If I take back with the queen, then perhaps this check here becomes a little bit annoying, and I'll lose my right to castle. But because I haven't castled yet, it's actually okay for me to take with the pawn, which is what I think I might want to do. Because then the idea here is that if he does check me here, that now my queen can protect this guy. So I'm going to take here with the g pawn, and can't remember what I've done in the past. It's kind of a matter of, here comes that check, and I block here. What's nice is this pawn on f6 defends these squares against this knight. Okay, take back here, and now I could even castle queenside, which is what I think I'm going to do. Because note that if he very interesting. What is he doing here? Well, he's clearing so he can castle, but I can just castle too, so I'm not quite... Let's see here. What are my choices? I can take here. You know what? Just trying to see if there's any threats. There's no checking threats. So I think I'm fine to just castle. Now I'm considering queen to a4. And I know he's not going to let me win this pawn, but what it does is gets my queen. I'm able to look at taking here because I'll be able to protect my... One of his threats might be to play something like queen to c4 here, pinning this pawn. Also got to watch out if he gets his queen here. So I think queen to a4. And then if he moves his king over, then I take here with my pawn. I got into a little time trouble last week in my game that I recorded, so I'm going to try to avoid that today. Okay, now I think I can just take here. And if he takes back with the knight, do I have this pin? Not quite, because he has this check here. Actually, can I just advance my pawn? The idea being this knight's out of play. I don't want to bring him back into play, and then this pawn can maybe thrust forward at some point to annoy him. That is definitely a consideration. And then it also opens up this file. I like that. So if I play c4, now the thing is he can't play d5 because I can take back with my rook. So I think that's a good move. Now he could play his knight back here, but then um, I could even move my king over with the idea of putting my rook behind it. Okay, so interesting. Here I can move my. I can just move my king here. Now I'm threatening to put my rook behind it, as well as maybe developing my bishop here, and then followed up with the rook. So, or even something like G. Okay, so he's committing now to attacking this pawn. Because it's quite dangerous for him. So I'm going to go ahead and move my rook here. Now he does get this check in here, but I don't think that does anything. Okay. Rook to c8. So this game has quickly become quite a little bit sharp. Not on my end, it seems fairly safe, but I guess I shouldn't be too overconfident. Um, okay, now he's attacking this pawn, which is fine. Now, if he gets his well here, is he in trouble here? He loses a pawn if he goes here. Can I attack his queen? Even if his queen gets his check off, I just move my king over, and then he takes this pawn with the knight, for example, and then is c3 just going to be very dangerous for him? Because if he takes it, maybe I attack his knight first, get his knight out of play. Because the one thing, well, I don't want it to go back. So I'm between playing something like f5 and playing this bishop attack right here, followed up by here. Okay, so bishop, I gotta do this quickly. Bishop b4 check, queen to g3 check, king to h or a8. Now he should keep his knight there, so I actually have another. I should probably push this pawn, or yeah, push this pawn to open up this file. Because even if he takes back here with the knight, okay, I think that's a good move. Okay, so let's attack him. Let's attack him here. I'm expecting this queen check right here. Okay, king to a8. Okay, so probably did not expect that, but probably his best move, and I think that's actually fine for me. I'm just going to drop back and protect this pawn. So now everything's clear. He can attack these guys if he wants. I'm not really too worried about that because if he okay, See here, I can almost ignore him in a way. I guess the question is, can I somehow... Or is it better to protect first? Because I can win this pawn as well. I mean, it's not. It's going to be back and forth, I guess. Should I try to keep up the initiative, or actually, I think I can. So here's my idea. I'm going to protect this pawn. So even if he takes this one, then I can do a rook lift. Okay. That's fine. I'm going to take that knight off and bring my rook over now. It's a little less dangerous for him. He should be able to protect himself. Okay. See, the problem with this move, of course, is that I can play here. Now I'm threatening here because of the pin. And I've also got just moves like this in the offing. Kind of a quick game. I want to take a little more time to figure things out, but I don't necessarily have that time. Okay, he's attacking my rook. Let's see. Should I keep him on the back rank? Put him right here. And he can't attack him right away. He could get this pawn here. Okay, now he's kind of... I think I have to threaten mate here. And the idea being that this is the rook that's protecting this. He has to protect here, and his queen is out of play. Okay, and now I can take, well, let's see, I can take this pawn. Or better yet, well, let's see, is it better to take the pawn, or should I just grab this pawn? Now, let's take, I'm going to take this one first, because I can also push that guy up. So this is a case where I have an attack on the king, and I'm willing to give up some material. And if I had more time, I would calculate out a little more whether or not that would be successful. But okay, rook over here. So he's letting me take. I'm going to take this guy because now I'm threatening this check. Oh no, he's not hanging. That rook's not hanging. So a lot of potential tactics that we have to be careful of. Okay. So he can take this guy now. So what I can actually do, I'm going to move this queen back over here, and then I'm going to push this guy right there. Now notice if, well, so material-wise, I actually have a pawn up, which is good considering I also have the attack. ideas here. I'm planning on this c3. Okay, he's taking this pawn right here. That's fine because now, again, let's just make sure he doesn't have any threats on my king at the moment. And I've got this major attack going. I don't know. I don't think there's a way for him to escape. I'm liking my position. I've got to think very quickly, though. Okay, so he's threatening here. The problem here is that now, can I just get this check off? And then if he go, that blocks this rook. So check. If he takes with the rook, I take with the queen with check, and then it's checkmate. If he goes this way, I check him over here. He's forced out over here, and then I promote with a queen with check. Then I can just make a bunch of exchanges. I don't think there's any other way for him to escape. And so I'm going to do this with a check. Notice that it's blocking this rook now, so now I can take here. So 15 minutes is really, especially since I'm commenting, is not a long amount of time for me. It's kind of quick for me. But what my opponent did was kind of allowed me to get a lot of initiative against his king. And so the game's not over, of course, but I think at this point I've got a huge advantage. Okay. And so my opponent resigned. Good game. And so let's take a look at that and see what we can learn from it. Okay, let's go back over a few of the, I guess, instructive points of the game. And here's the first one. Normally, this position is not played very often at all. Or I mean, I'm sorry, not this position, but what my opponent did here. Normally, in this position, the main move, or one of the main moves, it would be bishop to d3, which kind of transposes into more of the main lines of the Rubinstein. Instead, my opponent played bishop takes f6. And this does a couple things which aren't great, and I think his idea was that he's giving up this bishop, which is a fairly important piece because this, you can see here, this center is going to get opened up fairly quickly. So having the two bishops is a good thing. And so taking back here, and after he takes back here, I made the decision to take back with the pawn. And let me just show you what happens if I take back with the queen. Here, then, and I saw this in the game, is this bishop to b5 check, which is just terrible. If I block, which is probably the best move, he takes back, and after I take back, he's got a bunch of things he can do. He can, for example, he could just go ahead and do something like that with a check, but he can even just continue his development. Oh, he can castle, and now my king is just stuck in the center, and his rook's coming in, and he's still got this right here. Now, of course, I can take here as well, but then after this knight takes, I'm going to have to waste a move. Not waste a move, but I'm going to have to take a move to get my king to safety. So white already maybe doesn't have a winning advantage, but it's very awkward for me, and I'd rather be white in this situation. Okay, so that is the first point, and let's go on to the next one. Okay, here's another important point that I did not make during the game, and I didn't see this during the game, but is something that is important for you to think about. And that is, in this part particular position, I played rook to f8 and kept this attack going on the opposing king. However, I had an opportunity to bail out because doing a little deeper calculation, white can actually defend this position fairly well. Or if I go and move back from this point here, if he just plays something like rook to d2, then he's able to defend this position. Now my position isn't worse at this point, but it's not winning. So the point I wanted to show you here, though, is that after this move here, I have an opportunity to force perpetual check with rook takes b2 check. And after king takes b2, queen to b3 check, no matter where he goes, if he goes over here, I'll play this check, okay? If he goes over here, then I'll take again. And the idea being that no matter what he does, I can get perpetual check. Now, of course, I won this particular game, but the idea is in a tournament game or a longer time control game, when you make sort of a risky play in terms of a sacrifice, but you find that you have this kind of escape hatch or bailout, then it's always good to note that. So remember that in your when you're thinking of sacrificing material for an attack, you can be a little more confident going into it if you find some type of safety hatch where your opponent, where you'll be able to force some type of draw or come out of it with an even position, even if your initial intention doesn't work out. Okay, this is the final position we're going to look at in more detail, and the idea here is that I have a fairly big attack on my opponent's king, but he has an opportunity to save the game, I guess you could say. After I play, in the game I played queen to g3 with the idea of pushing this, he takes this pawn. And then I win almost instantly with c3. Okay, this is basically forces a win, as we saw in the game. Instead, if he would have counterattacked, okay, instead with queen to d7, of course threatening mate in 1, and forcing me to play either a move like rook to b8, in which case he can then grab this, and now this pins this pawn, so now he can't play that c3 move, and material, I have a bunch of weak pawns, he's probably got a little bit of an advantage here. Or if I played something like rook here to protect, then he goes on the offensive, attacking my king, and now I need to defend. So he can liquidate, and then again grab this pawn, and again there's no c3, so I'm just left with a bunch of weak pawns. Now, it's not totally losing for me, but I think white can consolidate and maybe have an edge here. Okay, so instead of queen to, with that in mind, and this actually is partly shows you what you need to do when you analyze. Now seeing that that was not a superior position for me, what should I have played? Well, let's go back and find out here. We're back to the main line, and back a move. So here instead, there's a bunch of moves. The main idea is that I should have taken a move to tidy up my weakness here. Okay, well, I could have gone a couple ways. I could have played something like a6 that kind of frees this back rank, so now I don't have to worry about trading this rook. Okay, and so let's look at what happens in that case. Now he can take here because my queen's not out of the way. I can go back to getting ready to push c3, and then if he plays here, I could do a few things, right? I can go ahead and take it, and then if he takes, king to a7, and unfortunately he'll be able to defend, but I don't think I'm any worse in this particular position, okay, because that c3 push is coming, and I can now protect these pawns, probably an even game here, okay, as opposed to having a slight disadvantage. So let's go back again. Another idea is just seeing what's happening on the board, maybe going into a more defensive posture, which maybe isn't the best way to look at things. But the idea here, after he takes here, is that now, even though I've sacrificed some material, now I've kind of got the material back and probably can draw this in any type of endgame. So part of this last segment, I just want to talk about when you're looking at your games and you find a move that isn't suboptimal. So you want to try, see if your opponent can find better responses than what he did in the game, as well as if he can find how you could have reacted differently. So that's maybe partly a lesson in analysis as well as anything else. But hopefully you got something out of this game. I thought it was a nice little attack we had there, and I enjoyed playing the game, so I hope you enjoyed watching it. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed our video today, and we had some nice themes there, strategic and attacking themes in terms of using a rook lift, also just in general how to attack that king on the wing, using our pawns to help break open the position, as well as our pieces to finally make that final attack and put pressure on them. Sometimes, as we saw in this game, it's okay to sacrifice material. And in some cases, you're going to take some risk too in terms of putting your own king in danger. And in this case, my attack struck first. So I think it was a nice game in terms of that. Of course, it wasn't a perfect game, but we learned from our mistakes, saw a few nice themes there, as well as talked a little bit about analysis. So hopefully you found that helpful today. If you did, please press that like button, and also let me know in the comments what you thought. If you're new to Better Chess Training, you're new to the channel, my focus is to help you to become what I like to call the hero of your chess journey. Okay, I'm on that journey as well, and I find that if you have a few friends on the journey, it makes it a little more enjoyable, as well as perhaps a little quicker along the way. So if that's something you're interested in, consider subscribing, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in a future video. Have a great day, and good luck with your chess.